Two guns, two men, but only one of them was armed. It was all made for an unusual April afternoon that ended with an NOPD officer out of a job.
We've obtained never-before-released surveillance video and audio tapes that raise even more questions. Bagad Shaban tells us what it all has to do with a 3-year-old girl. It's a joint investigation with our partners at The Lens.
The normal clunks, beeps, and sights of a New Orleans East gas station. But what happened here along Crowder Boulevard is anything but normal. It resulted in a police investigation, criminal charges, and a decision by the district attorney that continues to raise questions today. And it all started with this man, Devin Soignier, buying gummy bears at the gas station. They were for his 3-year-old goddaughter. Minutes later in the parking lot, it wasn't candy in his hands, but instead 2 guns. Fox 8 and our investigative partners at The Lens obtained the exclusive surveillance video, which shows he pulled out the weapons after getting into a verbal argument with this man, 18-year-old Michael Martin, who, in a taped interview, told police what happened when he saw the guns.
And I was telling him, all right, you got that, and I backed up. And he said, I'll make it to the point where nobody can walk around here.
This was no run-of-the-mill altercation. Turns out the man toting the guns is an NOPD officer. His sweatpants even bear the department's name.
I looked down, they got NOPD on his pants. I'm like, so what, you gonna shoot me on the gas station? He said, I don't got nothing to do with that. I said, you're police. He said, that don't mean nothing.
Soignier, who was off duty while at the gas station, was eventually grilled by detectives, giving an interview of his own saying Martin's female friend ran right into his young goddaughter, also inside the gas station. But detectives with the NOPD's Public Integrity Bureau had serious questions over why Soignier thought the solution involved pulling out his own personal gun and then his NOPD-issued Glock from the trunk, even though the man he was arguing with was unarmed.
I don't see why you got a gun, okay, and he don't have none. Did he get any type of weapon?
I mean, like I said...
just answer yes or no. Did he get any type of weapon?
No, sir.
Okay, so why you introduced the weapon? You understand, what you're telling me is you don't understand the use of force continuum. What you're telling me is you don't understand Louisiana laws concerning self-defense.
Yes, sir.
Where you can protect yourself with deadly force. You don't understand deadly force.
We tried reaching Soignier at his Algiers apartment, but we got no answer. On that taped interview with investigators, however, he did try to explain why he pulled out a pair of guns against an unarmed man.
At that time, I didn't see a weapon in his hand, but I did not see a weapon in his hand. You know, so that's what made me get my other weapon, because I didn't know what he was going to come out with. I don't know if he's going to come out with an AK or what, but I had my goddaughter in my car, like, you know.
That's right, his 3-year-old goddaughter was inside his car. The very same car Soignier decided to move closer to the man he just got into an argument with. The involvement of the young girl was never mentioned by the NOPD when it announced Soignier's resignation back in April. An apparently tearful Soignier resigned at the end of his taped interview after being arrested by police.
His resignation is voluntary and for my own free will.
Well, the district attorney's office acknowledges that the now former NOPD officer showed extremely poor judgment. A spokesperson for the DA tells us that after reviewing the evidence and current law, there simply wasn't an appropriate charge to bring against Soignier, and so the case against him was dropped.
It's a decision that still incites confusion among some residents in the neighborhood.
That's strange. I don't understand. Something should have been done about it.
But the DA's actions do make sense for police and government watchdog Rafael Goyeneche.
To be able to arrest, the police just needed a reasonable suspicion, probable cause. But to prosecute, the district attorney's office needs to prove the officer's guilt beyond a reasonable doubt.
Goyeneche heads the Metropolitan Crime Commission and says while Soignier was initially charged with aggravated assault, the evidence just wasn't there to meet the legal threshold. And so he says the incident was more like
aggravated stupidity on his part.
Goyeneche argues that's because an assault conviction requires proving that either battery was attempted or that the victim had a reasonable fear that it would be attempted. The video proves that no physical harm was inflicted, and the DA's office says on that police interview, the alleged victim indicates that he was not in fear of being shot. But listening to the entire tape, Martin appears to go back and forth. First saying he was afraid.
I was scared.
Later saying he wasn't.
I didn't feel no immediate harm after I seen the NOPD on his pants.
And then finally adding,
I felt threatened, but I didn't feel as threatened.
He certainly didn't look scared, even after the officer pulled out 2 guns. There's no audio on the surveillance video, but it's clear that Martin continues to yell something at the former officer until he eventually drives away. But not before he reaches back into his trunk for his police radio. Soigné would later say he was unable to report the incident because his battery was dead. For neighbors, it all adds up to yet another controversy for an already embattled NOPD.
To just have this add fuel to the fire, I just think that, we need to stop and think about what we're doing before we're doing and realize who we're representing.
Especially, say residents, if you're representing officers that are supposed to protect and serve. Begad Shaban, Fox 8 News.
Coming up tomorrow night at 10, we speak exclusively to the 18-year-old in the video who says the DA's decision not to prosecute the cop is unfair.
I was afraid. I may have not shown any action of being afraid on camera, but I was afraid, sir. If anybody got 2 guns on you, I think anybody would be afraid, a police officer or not.
At least one civil rights attorney is speaking out against the DA's track record on prosecuting officers, saying in a case like this, the DA could have chosen from several other charges to bring against a gun-toting police officer. For more on this story, visit thelensnola.org.